Okay, so welcome everybody. I want to welcome you to Product Overview with Wellness Experts. And my name is Dr. Betty Smith, and I am a naturopath, a registered nurse, and I am the medical director of Akana. I'm also a wellness coach and a member of the medical advisory team. So tonight we are going to discuss, hold on, somebody's in the waiting room. Tonight we're going to discuss nitric oxide. And I really had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I ran across this video and I was so taken aback. I know about nitric oxide, but I had no idea that many of the things that we do on an everyday basis can cause the depletion or the inability of the body to produce nitric oxide. So I'm going to play this video for you guys. This is brief, and then we're going to get into some of the specifics and the details about nitric oxide, its functions, things that we do that cause it to be decreased or not produced in the body, as well as things that we can do on an everyday basis to make sure that we promote the production of nitric oxide. And then finally, some of our products that can promote the production of nitric oxide. So without further ado, let me.
Yes. Dr. Betty, I can't see you on screen. Is it just
the
logo on the screen?
Yes, right, it is.
Oh, okay.
And I'm gonna let you guys see me in a minute.
Okay.
I look just like I looked last week.
Oh, great. All right, whatever week that was last week.
Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on 1 minute.
To see if there's a Humana plan in your area that will give you extra benefits.
Okay, can everybody put themselves on mute so we can have a clean call?
Sharing and more.
Okay. Oh, first I have to make my other self. Where is it? Where am I? Make myself a co-host. And then hold on, I want to get this right, guys. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share, I'm going to share my screen. Now you all let me know if you can hear it, okay? Because I'm doing this from my other device. Oh, you should be able to hear it because I'm going to turn, yes. Okay.
Hello everyone, Dr. Nathan Braun here. I just want to spend a couple minutes and and explain to you that if I wanted to shut down your nitric oxide production, I could deliberately do this. And in fact, most drug companies are doing this every day through these two products here. Prilosec, which is an antacid called a proton pump inhibitors, and oral antiseptic rinses. These two things right here, if you take either one of these, it shuts down nitric oxide production. If you take both of these, you completely shut down total body nitric oxide production. It's put you at an increased risk for high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, the #1 killer of men and women worldwide, diabetes, Alzheimer's, you become exercise intolerant, and you lose the protective benefits of exercise. This is a potent antiseptic, Listerine. Kills 99.9% of bacteria. It's true, and it's not a good thing. We need the bacteria in our mouth to convert nitrate from our diet into nitric oxide. We eradicate the bacteria, we shut down nitric oxide production. Our blood pressure goes up, and we lose the protective benefits of exercise. These drugs here are called proton pump inhibitors. These are probably some of the most dangerous drugs on the market. They intentionally shut down nitric oxide or stomach acid production. Consequently, you can't break down proteins into amino acids. You develop autoimmune disease. Without stomach acid, you can't absorb things like iron, selenium, chromium, B vitamins, iodine, essential nutrients you need for your body to work properly. Furthermore, these shut down nitric oxide production completely. They prevent the acid disproportionation of nitrite in your saliva from making nitric oxide in the lumen of the stomach, and they lead to an increase in asymmetric dimethylarginine, or ADMA, which shuts down endothelial nitric oxide production, shuts down the enzymatic production of nitric oxide. So these drugs here inhibit nitric oxide production from both pathways. Very dangerous. If you've been on these drugs for 3 to 5 years, you have a 40% higher incidence of heart attack and stroke. Furthermore, if you've been on these drugs for 3 years, you have a 35% increase in vascular dementia and Alzheimer's. These drugs should not be taken. You have to get off these. If you're taking one of these, it's really bad news. If you're doing both of these, using a daily antiseptic and taking a daily antacid, you are putting your risk at an extreme risk of heart attack, stroke, and high blood pressure. Mechanistically, we know exactly why. It's shutting down nitric oxide production. Our body needs nitric oxide to heal. Our body needs nitric oxide to perform optimally for the cells to work. Without it, our body cannot and will not heal. And these are the leading contributors to nitric oxide deficiency. And if you're on these, I caution you, please get off. Please understand the havoc, the clinical consequences of these two things that are available over the counter. In fact, I bought these today. $14, I bought both of these. You can get these, anybody can get these without the care of a physician, without the supervision of a physician, and it's wreaking damage on the American population. It's no wonder why Americans are the sickest population. These drugs are decreasing nitric oxide, or not drugs, these oral hygienic antiseptics, these antacids, which are drugs, are completely shutting down nitric oxide production. They're making people sick. More than that, they're killing people in heart attack and stroke and developing Alzheimer's. So understand the importance of nitric oxide. Stop doing the things that disrupt it. Start doing the things that promote it. We have product technology that actually generates nitric oxide. You can find these at www.n101.com. Not zero, one nitrogen, one oxygen, n101.com. Stay tuned for more.
Or what? Uh-oh. So was that interesting or what? So can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
You
Yes,
can?
yes, we
Okay,
can.
okay, great.
Yes, we can hear. I can hear you.
All right, great. So, yeah, I thought that was just so interesting. I was actually very shocked to find that out, and I thought that that was something that you guys really needed to hear. Okay, hold on. Let me Let this person in. So, oh, no, 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 no. Okay. So now, I just want to share with you guys some information about nitric oxide. Is anybody familiar with nitric oxide?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so let me give you some information. I'm gonna share my screen again. And let me see, where is it? Where is it?
You tell us what happened? Or we tell you what we already know.
Okay, I am,
Okay. Why don't I start?
try this.
You've had your prints on a shell casing.
Yep, that's it. Okay.
Officer Eddie Baker was found dead. Why is that? What have you?
Okay, so somebody has their TV on or something.
What was that story? So what happened?
Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, so nitric oxide is actually a gas, and it has some very important functions within the body. As you can you see? Somebody said that they can't see.
I can see Dr. Betty, but I see your slides on the side. If you click on slideshow up at the top, that should bring it back. But I can
Oh,
see the slide.
okay.
So click on
Oh, I got you.
slideshow up at the top,
Okay, let
at the
me
very
find.
top. Keep going up and go over to your, and
Mm,
then you see slideshow.
Slideshow, I see it.
No, come down.
No.
Yeah, on the see where it says home, insert, draw, design.
Oh, yeah.
Slideshow.
Okay.
Slideshow. And I keep going over on that line: home, insert, draw, design, transitions, animations, and slideshow. And if you click on the slideshow, that's going to bring back up your slideshow.
Okay, well, right
You see
here.
it? Maybe,
No,
maybe
for here, I'm here on my screen, it's here where I am. It says
yeah, I don't see
play from the
slideshow over
current
there.
slide.
Okay, do that.
Or even
Try
for
that.
presenter view. No.
Oof.
Oops, that's not quite it.
Nope.
Oops. Okay, wait.
Now I don't know how to get back to where you were.
No.
Sorry. Does
Let's
anybody
look under
else
more.
know?
Let's look under more. Play live. No.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never seen that screen.
I'm
Use
here.
slideshow. Okay, so if you go up to the very top, see where it says end show, and then it says tips, and then it says use slideshow. Try clicking on use slideshow.
I don't see that. Where do you see that?
You know what? Maybe
I see it. I see it here. Use slideshow.
there you go. Yep, there it is.
All right.
Now,
Thank
can
you.
that person who didn't see it see if they can everybody see that? Make sure everybody can see it.
Can everybody see now?
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay, so like I was saying, nitric oxide has some very, very important functions within the body, and they include vasodilation. So they open up the blood vessels so that more blood can go through. They widen the blood vessels to improve blood flow and to help to regulate blood pressure. Also neurotransmission, or the transmission of nerve impulses. So nitric oxide acts like a signaling molecule in the nervous system, and it facilitates communication between nerve cells. In terms of the immune response, nitric oxide is involved in the immune defense mechanisms, and which actually helps to combat pathogen and regulate inflammation. Nitric oxide is also involved with cell communication, in other words, cell signaling. It influences the processes such as apoptosis, which is programmed cell death, as well as cell proliferation. It's also influential in oxygen delivery, so it helps to regulate blood flow to specific tissues and organs, ensuring efficient oxygen delivery, because you know we cannot live without oxygen. In terms of muscle function, nitric oxide plays a role in the contraction and relaxation of muscles, and it impacts physical performance as well as exercise tolerance. It's also influential in and contributes to the healing process by promoting blood flow and tissue repair. It can also, nitric oxide can also function as an antioxidant, protecting cells from damage caused by oxidative stress. So even though these functions really highlight the diverse and crucial roles that nitric oxide plays in maintaining various physiological processes in the body, you can see that is something that we really have to have. Now, what interferes with nitric oxide production is aging, because nitric oxide tends to decline with age, which may contribute to vascular dysfunction and other age-related health issues. Oxidative stress decreases nitric oxide production. So excessive oxidative stress, often caused by an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants, can lead to the degradation of nitric oxide, as well as impairing its bioavailability, or its availability for use by the body. Smoking also inhibits it. Tobacco smoke contains harmful chemicals that can damage blood cells and reduce nitric oxide production. Smoking is really a major risk factor for cardiovascular diseases in general. Hold on, there we go. Okay, next on the list is an unhealthy diet. So diets that are high in saturated fats, processed foods, and low in antioxidants may negatively impact nitric oxide synthesis and function. Conversely, a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and nutrients like L-arginine can support nitric oxide production. Next on the list, we've got lack of physical activity. So sedentary lifestyles can contribute to reduced nitric oxide production. Regular exercise is known to stimulate nitric oxide release and to promote vascular health. In addition to that, there are certain medical conditions that can impact nitric oxide production, and it's conditions like diabetes, hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, all of those can affect nitric oxide production because they impair endothelial function. And in addition to those, environmental pollutants have an impact on nitric oxide production because exposure to pollutants and toxins can lead to inflammation and oxidative stress, negatively impacting nitric oxide levels. And then last but not least, insufficient sunlight, ultraviolet light exposure contributes to nitric oxide production in the skin, and lack of sunlight exposure may limit the natural source of nitric oxide. And so actually, Dr. Brian actually brought up hold on, let me let somebody in, brought up the use of antiseptic mouthwashes, as well as proton pump inhibitors like Prilosec and that kind of thing, as agents that actually decrease or prevent the production, that's what he said, prevent the production of nitric oxide in the body. So he did actually talk about how the elimination of the oral bacteria, hold on, I'm trying to let somebody in, okay. How the elimination of oral bacteria, which we naturally have in our mouths, can cause the lack of production of nitric oxide, because nitric oxide actually utilizes that bacteria in its production. So when you kill the bacteria, then that process, that pathway does not occur, leaving the body with decreased amounts of nitric oxide, which promote vasoconstriction, or the narrowing of the blood vessels, which increases the blood pressure and can cause cardiac problems. And the same thing with the proton pump inhibitors that people take for gastric reflux and excessive gastric acid. So you can see that unknowingly we can contribute to things like high blood pressure and other cardiovascular problems just by using mouthwash. Uh-oh, what happened? No. Okay. So now, those were the things that interfere with nitric oxide production. And then things that increase nitric oxide production are physical activity. We just discussed the importance of physical activity, just exercise. Aerobic exercise stimulates nitric oxide production, and increased blood flow during exercise actually triggers the release of nitric oxide, which again promotes vasodilation, or the widening of the blood vessels, so that more blood and oxygen can come through. And then dietary sources, certain foods contain nutrients that support nitric oxide production. And those would be foods that are rich in nitrates, such as leafy green vegetables or leafy greens, as well as beets. And these can actually be converted into nitric oxide within the body. L-arginine is an amino acid that is actually a precursor for nitric oxide. And foods that are rich in L-arginine would be things like nuts and seeds and meats, as well as dairy products. And those can actually support the synthesis or the production of nitric oxide. Sunlight exposure is another one that is very important because the sunlight on the skin can actually stimulate the production of nitric oxide. We talked about those ultraviolet rays or ultraviolet light that actually triggers the conversion of nitrite and nitrate into nitric oxide in the skin. Antioxidants are of the utmost importance because substances that contain antioxidant properties like vitamin C and vitamin E actually help to maintain nitric oxide's availability by preventing its breakdown. So consuming a diet that's rich in antioxidants actually supports nitric oxide function. And then adequate oxygen levels. Now, nitric oxide production is influenced by oxygen availability. Maintaining proper oxygen levels through regular breathing and respiratory function is essential. And so this can also be related to mouth breathing. If you're breathing with your mouth open, you're not getting the adequate levels of oxygen and the production of nitric oxide. So this is why snoring and oh my goodness, what is it? Sleep apnea have such a negative effect on blood pressure and cardiac conditions because it decreases the amount of nitric oxide available to the body. Okay, so a healthy endothelium is also crucial in terms of increasing nitric oxide production because the endothelial cells lining the blood vessels play a crucial role in the production of nitric oxide. In terms of maintaining vascular health through a balanced lifestyle, this helps to support endothelial function and nitric oxide synthesis or production. Aging and hormonal factors can also reduce nitric oxide production, but certain hormones like estrogen can actually have a positive influence on nitric oxide levels. So hormonal balance and overall health can impact nitric oxide synthesis. So it's also important to note that excessive production of nitric oxide, particularly in certain medical conditions, can lead to adverse effects. So as with any aspect of health, balance is really the key. And individual responses may vary because no two people are alike. So it's important to always consult with your healthcare professional for more personalized advice when it comes to making sure that your nitric oxide levels are at a healthy level, especially when it comes to hormones and that kind of thing. So in terms of our products, sorry, I don't have a slide for this, but our CBD is definitely a component that is beneficial to beneficial and has a potential positive impact on nitric oxide production. It has actually, cannabidiol or CBD has actually been studied for its potential impact on nitric oxide production and the related physiological processes. Research is ongoing, and some studies do suggest that CBD may influence nitric oxide levels in various ways. And those ways would be some that we've already discussed, like vasodilation. CBD has been found to have a vasodilatory effect, potentially promoting relaxation of the blood vessels. And this action could be associated with increased nitric oxide production, as nitric oxide is a key mediator of vasodilation. And then secondly, the anti-inflammatory properties of CBD, which are extremely effective. It has been found that inflammation is closely linked to nitric oxide production. So by reducing inflammation, which CBD definitely does, it can indirectly affect nitric oxide levels. Endocannabinoid system modulation is a key factor, since CBD interacts with the endocannabinoid system, which plays a role in various physiological functions, including cardiovascular regulation. The modulation of the endocannabinoid system by CBD may have a positive influence on nitric oxide signaling. And so while it's essential to note that some studies suggest that a potential connection between CBD and nitric oxide exists, the research is still in its early stages. And of course, they always feel that more investigation is needed to fully understand the mechanisms as well as the clinical implications. And then too, you have to consider too that individual responses to CBD can vary. You know, some people have varying disease of inflammation and need more CBD. And so, you know, it's a matter of dosing and administration methods. Is it vaping? Is it CBD tincture, or a water soluble, a gummy? All of those things would have a determining effect on how influential or how much of an impact the CBD would have on nitric oxide production. But if you're considering the use of CBD, which most of us do, for health purposes, as always, it's advisable to consult with a healthcare professional, especially if you have pre-existing medical conditions or are taking medications, as CBD can interact with certain drugs. Okay, now the other thing that I identified as, let me see how much time we have. Okay, we're doing good. The other thing that I identified as really beneficial to this whole process, especially in light of Dr. Bryan's determination that using an antiseptic mouthwash actually prevents the production of nitric oxide. So some people will say, what am I supposed to do? Walk around with funky breath all the time? Well, now there's some considerations there. When you think about it, the bacteria in the mouth actually stimulates the production of nitric oxide. And so many times halitosis or bad breath is really not so much an indication of or a result of bacteria in the mouth, but really more so reflective of the condition of the gut. If you recall, we talked about, especially during flat belly lifestyle, we talk about digestion. We talk about inflammation within the gut and the fact that the average person has in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 undigested meals in the gut at any given time. And so that's, again, that's like putting a plate of food on the table and walking away and leaving it for a week. And when you come back, it's putrefied, right? And so this is what happens in our gut if we are not eliminating properly. And if we are not getting enough fiber in our diet so that we move things along. So this is one of the benefits of our flat belly cleanse, because what it does is it actually helps to not only relieve the inflammation and the mucus production, but to clean out our digestive system like Drano. So it pushes all of that old putrefied food out of the intestines, which allows the toxins, the mucus, and the parasites to be eliminated thereafter. In addition to that, it allows the other organs and tissues in the body to release their toxins so that they can be eliminated, because now they have some place to go out of the system. So this is a benefit of, another benefit, I should say, of our cleanse, because it makes for a cleaner system. It makes for fresher breath. And it also helps to reset the function of the digestive system, thereby potentially relieving symptoms of GERD and gastric reflux. Interesting, huh? So, okay. So do you have questions, comments?
Hi, Dr. Betty. I was just typing in the chat. This is my Mitchell.
Hey, Mom Mitchell, how are you?
Yes, I tuned in late, but I'm truly enjoying this. You were talking about the mouthwashes.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I started using the Essential Defense instead of my mouthwash maybe about a couple of months ago.
Okay.
Just using that, no mouthwash, just the Essential that drop on the toothbrush. And I haven't heard anybody to pull away from it and say your breath smells. So I that works. And then of course what you're saying of the cleansing, because your body, has more clean food and things in it, and so it's not toxic. So your breath does not smell so bad.
And that's true, because the other thing is that especially while you're doing the cleanse, once you get past those first several days, you'll probably notice that your stools don't really stink. I will never forget my sister and my nephew moved back to Chicago after living in Indianapolis for years. And my nephew, my youngest nephew, he had never really been here, or had not been here a really long time, and he just had to have a Maxwell Street Polish sauce.
Oh yes.
OMG. And so they were staying with us, and when they came home, well, number one, you can smell it all in your clothes. But I'm telling you, he went to the restroom and it was like, OMG. Turned the fan. It's amazing how it's amazing.
I know.
So you can tell how the foods that we eat affect our bodies. I mean, you can smell it. Literally.
Dr. Betty,
Hey, Brenda.
I smelled myself the whole cleanse. I ain't never not smell it. It smells like somebody died. Yes.
Okay. But after the fact, did you continue on with the post-detox regimen?
Yes, I did.
And then what happened?
No, I don't smell it now, but going through that 21 day, I smelled it the whole time.
The whole time, okay.
And I don't eat a lot of different stuff, so somebody must have been dead in there for a minute.
Exactly. We really have no concept of how long food stays in our system and how long it takes for it to transit through our system. And so when we really think about how long our intestines are, I mean, it takes a long time for different foodstuffs to actually pass through. And then the other thing about it is that because we don't eat utilizing proper food combining, then we start on something. We might start on a carbohydrate and say, "Oh, let me have a taste of this meat." And as soon as the meat comes in, the carbohydrate digestion ceases because the stomach says, "Oh my gosh, here comes some meat. Here comes some protein. Let me stop and address this." And then we eat something sweet and the same thing occurs. So the actual digestive process never really fully takes place before we shove in something else. that requires a totally different medium for digestion. So we're constantly putting food in, not necessarily in the proper order for it to be effectively digested. And when that digestion is halted like that, then that food stuff pretty much starts its putrefaction process. Any other questions? Comments? Uh-oh, somebody wants to get in. Okay. So would you guys like to hear more about nitric oxide?
The part I heard was good. I came in a little late, but the part I heard was really good.
Okay,
Especially talking about the ones who have the heart problems, and then the,
exactly.
because
Exactly.
I had no idea.
I
No
know,
idea.
nor did I, Mitchell. And so one of the things that really caught my ear, he is actually a researcher and an expert on nitric oxide. And one of the things that he talked about that was particularly interesting was a study that they did. And they found that, so they did a study with some young people, and they had them, hold on, let me recall. So they had them brush their teeth and use mouthwash, the antiseptic mouthwash. And I can't remember specifically with what the period of time was, but they actually developed high blood pressure. And then they had them stop for 4 days and their blood pressure went down.
Now, Dr. Betty, is it a particular type of mouthwash, or the ones with
Antiseptic, the one
antiseptic?
antiseptic, the one that he shows. I think you may have missed the actual video, but he showed Listerine. Yeah, he showed Listerine.
What's the doctor's name? So I
His name is Brian.
Ryan.
His last name is Brian, Bryan.
Bryan. Okay.
Hold on, let me see. I've got it. Can't remember his first name right offhand.
But he's done studies on nitrogen oxide, right?
Oh yeah, that's his field. He's been
okay. Well, he'll probably come up with just the last name.
Yeah, check him out on YouTube.
Okay, nitrogen oxide. Okay.
No, not nitrogen. It's nitric oxide.
Oh, I'm sorry, girl. I'm glad you told
That's
me.
okay.
Nitric. Okay, yeah,
Nitric
that's
oxide.
something else.
Exactly. It is. Nitric oxide is the laughing gas. Okay.
Exactly.
You get at the dentist.
Right. Exactly. Nitric.
His first name is Nathan.
Nathan. Okay, so that's nitric oxide. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, and the first name is Nathan. Okay.
Nathan Bryan. Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys. So guess what time it is? 7:59. And so I want to thank everybody for, oh, but you know what? Now there's one other thing that I wanted to share with you. Remember, we talked about the proton pump inhibitors like Prilosec, and then there's some that are given out by prescription. Omeprazole, it's a tongue twister. Omeprazole and some others that end in ZOLE. And there are some alternatives to them. And it's important to note that because each individual's response might vary, to consult with your healthcare practitioner to make sure that you find one that is suitable for you. They talk about antacids, H2 blockers, which kind of pretty much negate or contribute to the same problem in that they change the acidic nature of the stomach, which the body really needs. But there are some lifestyle modifications that can be made by changing your lifestyle to help to alleviate acid reflux symptoms. You can do things like maintain a healthy weight, avoid eating large meals, not lying down immediately after eating, and then elevating the head of the bed is also a practice that helps minimize the reflux of the acid back into the esophagus and into the upper GI. And then dietary changes in the way of, first of all, identifying and avoiding trigger foods that can be beneficial. So some of the common triggers can include spicy foods, citrus fruits in some cases, caffeine, chocolate, and fatty or fried foods. Okay, then there's some other recommendations for possible alternatives, but again, it's good to check with your healthcare practitioner in terms of finding an alternative solution. But again, in the meantime, those lifestyle adjustments might be just enough to eliminate or minimize the gastric reflux that one might experience. And then the other thing too is avoiding tight-fitting clothes and avoiding smoking, if anybody still smokes. Those can all contribute again to reducing the acid reflux symptoms.
What about black-eyed peas? Because it seems like when I eat black-eyed peas,
Uh-huh.
I get it.
Mm,
It's coming back up. I can feel it.
you can feel it. So what method do you use to cook them?
Most of the time, olive oil or something like that. But no matter what I do, the black-eyed peas always give me acid reflux.
So is that within your approved food list for your blood type?
There you go. That's it.
This was before.
Before you knew?
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm B positive. So
Oh yeah, no black-eyed peas,
No
baby.
black-eyed peas.
No,
No
ma'am.
black-eyed peas for
all right, there you go.
I'm a
Nope.
B, and that was much to my chagrin. I love black-eyed peas. Yep. But then the other, one more thing. Let me say this. The other thing about peas and beans is it has been found that pressure cooking them makes them much less gassy and well, much less gas producing in your system. But still, black eyed peas are not for B blood type. Who was that?
Dr. Betty, this is James Mitchell.
Hey, James.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I'm a type B, and and I eliminated. I used to always get acid reflux from black eyed peas, but then I eliminated corn from my diet.
Yep.
And I went to an event a couple of weeks ago, and you know, I do eat fish and so, but not a whole lot of meat. And so they said, well, okay, well, we got this for the vegans and stuff like that. We got some meat, right? And so they had a bunch of corn, you know, and so, and they fried the fish in corn oil.
Interesting.
I had the worst time with acid reflux that I've had in quite some time, because I had eliminated corn oil from my diet and corn. Yeah, so that acid reflux will get you. And is there a difference between acid reflux and heartburn?
Well, actually, to the best of my knowledge, it's pretty much the same thing. The acid causes heartburn. The acidity can cause heartburn. But okay, can cause heartburn, but acid reflux is actually the actual acid in the stomach coming back up into the esophagus, which can literally erode the esophagus. That's why acid reflux can be dangerous.
Let me add one more question, because salmon I don't eat salmon, but is that like acid reflux too for B positive? Because when I tried, I never ate salmon, and I went to New York and I was hungry, and that's all the lady cooked. I had a less than a half an inch on my pork, and my throat locked up. I ended up staying in New York a whole week, and it was the salmon. I don't know, is it acidic? Because I never ate salmon before, but that's
that sounds like an allergic reaction.
Okay.
Yeah, you may have some allergy to the salmon. It's actually one of the fish that we can eat, albeit it says wild caught. But again, that might be an individualized allergic reaction for you. Okay. Anybody else? All right, then. Thank you so much for your participation and your attention. I hope that you were able to glean some knowledge and something that you can share with your family and your friends and your customers. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thank you, Dr. Betty.
Thank you, Dr. Betty.
You're so welcome.
Good night.
Thank you, Dr. Betty.
You're welcome.
Good
Good
information.
night.
Betty.
Thanks.
Great night. You guys make it a great one.
Dr. Betty.
And thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just in the group.
everybody for
You good? Thank you, though.
Take care now.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye,
Good
Brenda.
night.
Let me see.